And it's not just about selling the most expensive suit or having models wear our garments. It's really impacting people's life.
Just backtracking a little bit during COVID, when you didn't have all that interaction, I can understand why you lose the passion for it because you're not with your people, you're not with your customers.
As a business owner, you got to continue to dig deep and reevaluate the times that we're in, whether it's good times, bad times, slow times, and you got to be able to pivot.
Welcome to the Main Street Matters podcast, where we celebrate and support the heart and soul of our communities, our Main Streets. I'm your host, Terresa Zimmerman. Welcome to Main Street Matters. I am here today with Alex Hamka, third generation custom tailor, entrepreneur, and proprietor of Alexanders Custom Clothiers in Northville, Michigan. Welcome, Alex.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. I'm so happy for you to join us today.
Appreciate you having me on.
So first things first, tell us about you. Tell us about Alexanders.
Well, I'll start with the beginning. I was a pre-dental student, and my father had West Nile virus. So he was hospitalized for 2 years. And I left school, took over his tailor shop, literally working from 4 in the morning to 11 at night, and then heading downtown to see him at the hospital. You know, at the time, Jacobson's was going out of business, and we had an influx of all of these garments that need to be altered. So I kind of got thrown into this pool of fire and had no choice but to teach myself whatever my father hadn't taught me, you know. So he recovered, and that's where I felt like this was my calling. You know, it's a dying trade. Everybody in this business is pretty much a haberdasher. So you don't have many people who are doing tailoring or working on patterns or actually making garments in house. So when he recovered, I thought, I'm not going back to school for dentistry. I'll do corporate communications, public relations, but I want to open up my own store. And an opportunity came along where I had an attorney and a guy from downtown Northville. So downtown Northville is it's a high end, low key, very quiet money. And they actually came to the shop and said, hey, we're working on a new project. Your dad has a great reputation. We'd like you guys to open up in Northville. My dad was done. He didn't want to work anymore, and he wanted to give me his shop. So I ended up not telling him, but I ended up signing a contract, you know, that I was going to open up a store without him knowing. You know, finally, a few months go by, a year goes by, and I pick him up and I drive him right downtown, and I give him a key and I'm like, open up the door. He's like, what's this? You know, so he walks in for the first time and was baffled. You know, he was amazed, was nervous, but, you know, I was born in this country, so I had to take it up a notch. You know, I didn't want to just take over his tailor shop and men's suit store. My grandfather had a custom factory where they made shoes and suits. My father was the designer. This was in Lebanon. And during the 6-Day War between Israel and the Arab countries, Lebanon really wasn't part of that, but Israel ended up occupying the whole south up to Beirut. And my parents and grandparents, everybody fled, and they came here because of Ford Motor Company. So all of my uncles opened up tailor shops and clothing stores. And that was the beginning of their journey. And I said, you know what? Since I was born in this country, I need to really elevate because, again, it's a dying trade. All the tailors are 70, 80 years old. So, you know, I want to be able to dominate this whole region, you know, throughout the States. And it's been working. It's been great.
That's amazing. I mean, it kind of brought tears to my eyes a little bit hearing your story.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You know, I'd look at the photos that my grandfather had, my father had, and they actually had 150 employees that worked for them. They had over a dozen shops. My grandfather back in the day would If people didn't have money, but they came from a good family, they knew the village, he would give them a line of credit. And, you'd swear on your mustache back in the day. It's like a handshake, and if you found a guy without a mustache, you can't trust them. So he would loan out all the shoes and the garments, and then they would repay him back. And, he got really many people starting in that business, which flourished and everything until the occupation happened. So
That's incredible. Swear on your mustache. I have never heard that.
so
That
basically what you do is, how back in the day everybody had a mustache,
yeah.
right? And then, some of them curled it. So if you ended up doing this to your mustache, it was as good as a handshake.
That's
And anybody who didn't have a mustache, you couldn't trust. Now, you could trust me because we live in America.
You shaved your mustache off this morning though, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So there's so much that you just said. I have questions. So one, your dad had West Nile virus. How scary was that?
Oh,
And had you already learned tailoring from him to some extent, or were you starting from scratch at that point?
no. So, he literally lost all of his muscle. It was just bone and skin. It was straight up. It was the scariest thing. He lost 40 pounds in 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
So, and at the time there was 800 deaths in Michigan. So his friend died from that, and we were worried, but we kept the faith, and thank God he recovered. Um, as far as the tailoring goes, growing up, my father was like a leather expert. So I don't know if you're familiar with Tannery West, Wilson's Leather back in the day.
Yeah, Wilson's
So
I've heard of. Yeah.
he after work he'd pick me up and he'd have a rack and we'd go to the local malls because he had a contract with them to repair leather jackets. And the basement was nothing but sewing machines. So, I picked up the skill by watching and observing, but he never wanted me to do tailoring at all. He wouldn't teach me, he'd show me, but he wouldn't teach me. He's like, you're born in this country, you're going to go to school, you get an education, and you're going to open up your own thing. I don't want you to do this tailoring. And fortunately, kids always do the opposite. So if you don't want your kids to go into something, tell them go into it, because they'll end up going against your word. And that's what happened with me. It's just I found a love for being in the tailor shop when things were tough with my father, and I was able to just kind of get into my own world. A lot of it was he did teach me a bit, but in school I took drafting, architecture, 3D, all of that helped. It kind of helped me understand, shaping the garment, making patterns, whatnot.
Well, I mean, I guess if you were on the dentistry track, you were going to be building teeth and molars and spacers and all that. So that's quite a pivot you just made.
Yeah, I'm happy. You know what? I'm happy. My nephew's a dentist. I told him one day I'll work for you because I did work in a dental office. I've worked on some patients during the 9/11 issue when all, dentists were closed for a few days. So I've got my own secret stories with some patients. Yeah.
Well, so is your dentist nephew a customer of yours now?
He is. He
Yeah.
is. It's the only thing he'll wear. I've got many nephews. I have 22 nephews and nieces.
Wow.
So I'm a great uncle.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, well, tell us who else besides family are your customers? Who do you serve?
All right. So when we started, we really only offered bespoke tailoring made in house and, high end off the rack garments. I pulled the plug on off the rack because I didn't want to compete with department stores, and I wanted a unique type of clientele that I wanted to mold and build, So even when I needed the money at the time, I would turn away clients because, you had to train the customer. And the word slowly spread over the years, and every single client that walked in the door wanted custom suits. So um, the clients we have are all CEOs, pretty wealthy clients, athletes, team owners, you name it, we have it. Even the guy who's not extremely wealthy but is into quality, buys less instead of buying everything on sale, you know, and has a closet full of, I would say, garments that don't fit right. We have a lot of smart clients who like to spend and spend carefully, so that's one part. The other part is we do a lot of membership packages we started growing, meaning we fly out to clients' homes. We'll go through his whole closet, take a look at what garments fit him best, what don't. We'll get rid of everything. And then when we come to the shop, we'll, place his order, make his garments, ship everything out, and then we'll take another flight to his home. We'll do a final fitting and then organize his whole closet. Like we have a client where we've signed NDAs with, and it's every quarterly, he'll spend a huge amount because he's got several homes. So if the client gains or loses weight, his staff will have to replace everything in his homes. And we're on top of that constantly because, he'll weigh himself. Any change, like he's well known, been on New York Times front cover. So we have a lot of really, really great clients who take this very, very seriously. Speak unless you're spoken to type of thing. Come in, I measure them up, we're done. Others who are billionaires, you could sit down, have a cigar with them, and pick their brain a bit. So every client is different.
Yeah. So you work out of the store, but then you also these packages. You go to their homes.
Yeah.
And how did you start with that?
We started actually doing commercials that was local, but during the Super Bowl.
Wow. Cool.
And we kind of became like wherever I'd go, a local celebrity. People knew who I was.
Yeah.
We ran 25,000 commercials a month, and it was really due to branding. From there, we won 24 awards on our website worldwide. We did a short film for Alexanders, and the website's alexcustom.com. We had Miss Michigan in there. It was shot beautifully. It was like, to me, is one of the best commercials out there. Not that I'm biased, but I kind of am because the director is a well-known movie producer, and he's done a lot of great work. So from there, we're like, okay, what's the next step? How do we scale our business? Because we continue to grow. We have 9 employees, and what we did is we ended up taking the space next door. So let's take a few steps back. When we signed the contract, I ended up picking the middle shop instead of taking a corner. And I was 23 at the time. And the owner goes to me, "How come you don't take the corner? The corners, that's gold." I go, "Jim," I'm taking the center because when I expand, I have the option to go right or go left. And immediately, as soon as I said that, he goes, "Nobody's ever said that to me." And there was about 20 people who were lined up to take this spot. He gave it to me. He's like, because you weren't thinking about just you're thinking way ahead. And in 2016, we expanded, took over the space, went by appointment only. So now we don't even take walk-ins. We turn them away, or we'll put them on a contract on the calendar. That's helped us give the time to the client who's paying. He wants to come in. We want to make sure our consultation is perfect. Our time spent with them is great. It's got to be informative for the client, but at the same time, I got to interview the client to see what he likes, what his personality is like. Where does he wear these garments? Get to know the customer. So we give them about a good hour consultation, and then we would go through the fabric. We'll measure him up, and in 4 weeks, he'll come back to do a final fitting. So from there, we ran ads in, the local paper. We did a few PR releases and started posting it, online on our Instagram. And immediately we started getting calls. Like I have a guy from Vegas, he got a $28 million house, reached out to us, wants us to fly out to remake his whole closet, which is incredible. So there's a demand. It's trying to find those types of clients, because now we can scale working with less clients, you know, because at the end of the day, our space is only so big to handle so many customers. And as a businessman, every dollar counts. We want to continue to give the best service, but we can't keep doing that by cutting our time on the volume of clients that walk in the door. So we're like, we have to go by appointment. We got to grow the clientele base with a higher ticket. And this way we can focus on that client instead of dealing with 10 clients who are spending the same amount. So it's become more of a business decision, to keep the doors locked and, again, focus on the client, because that's what it's all about.
To do that, you really have to know what you stand for, right? As a person and as a business in order
True,
to do what you're doing.
true, true.
So, does that conviction, because I can tell you've got conviction around that, but does that conviction ever get tested? Do you ever go, oh, well, maybe I should?
You know what? I'll tell you. So my father, very traditional, and when we decided not to hang any garments on the rack, all of the reps that he knew, family members who were, in the suit business, all said, "Your son, is gonna ruin his business. He's crazy. What do you mean he's not gonna hang garments?" And sure and behold, I was kind of the pioneer in this whole area. And after 10 years, the same reps were like, man, this is now what they're doing. It's 20. So I've been in the business since 2004. I'm 40. I opened up at 24 years old. I'm 43 right now. And I think that helped us. We have to stay visionary. We got to go with the gut instinct. A lot of it is gut instinct that most people, I think, have to dig deep to find it, and you have to be confident and move forward. Like once you make a decision, you got to make it happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think your gut instinct, even if you have learned how to listen to it, you then have to find maybe a little bit of bravery. You called it confidence, but I think also maybe a little bravery to go execute on it, right? So how do you do that? Where do you find that little edge of bravery to say, yeah, I'm going to go for it?
That's a good one. You know what? My being around my father, he was always disciplined. Once he made up his mind, he never looked back. So growing up, seeing him maybe in that environment, um, made me who I am today. Aside from that, I'm surrounded by a bunch of great family members, friends, nephews who right now are becoming leaders, whether it's in the city or state. And while they were looking up to me, now I'm looking up to them. The roles have changed a bit. And I'd throw some of these ideas at them, and they're like, we love it, do it. Sometimes they'd be against it. And I would still do it, At times I would be against something and they're pushing me to do it. Like, for example, TikTok. I'm not a big TikTok guy. I don't like social media too much. But my nephews were like, listen, man, you have to have a presence on TikTok because it's different than Instagram. So we started shooting some videos, just educational ones. I didn't care for it because everybody on TikTok or Instagram is showing suits, putting combos together. As soon as I went to the back, I had no intention of being recorded, but the guy's like, hey, do you have some work to work on? I'm like, yeah. He's like, just go ahead and start working, and I'm just going to film you. I'm going to ask you a few questions and just do your thing. We did that. He sends me, a minute and a half after a week of the editing and the music and, what we worked on. It ended up hitting 2 million views.
Oh my gosh.
So we have like 1.9, 2.1, 1.8 million views on the stuff in the back room, because nobody's ever seen, a tailor in the back explaining what he's doing.
Right.
And immediately we started getting calls from Houston, Texas, Palm Beach, California. We already have those booked because, like, for example, let's just say use Tom James for an example. They're known to go out and make custom garments. The issue is they're haberdashers. They're trained salespeople.
Yeah.
It works because they have a great software. They're constantly cold calling, emailing, and you know what? To some, it's great. The issue with that is they got to wait almost 3, 4, 5 months to get the garment. And if the garment is wrong, they have to send it out to the factory. The factory sends it back to them. It's still an issue. So there's too many people in the kitchen or in the tailor shop. With us, you're dealing with me, and I have a great team, Adriana and Mike. I mean, they're on top of everything. So they are literally the lifeline to our motor. They're the oil to the engine. They keep everything running smooth. And it's allowed me to kind of take a step back from micromanaging. They've been handling that, and I've been focusing on more of the client and the garments and the construction. So in 2008, before the economy crashed, I flew out to Canada to make patterns because I wanted a manufacturer to make a silhouette like Tom Ford or Brioni. Typically in the business, if you're dealing with a manufacturer, they'll give you a template to use to mark up.
Right.
The problem is all these templates I didn't care for. There was always an issue. So I have the photos of me meeting with this French Canadian tailor, and he's like, American, like, what do you guys know? And I got upset because I wanted him to pitch the waistband down instead of up. So I go, you have a sewing machine? I'm talking to the owner. I go, let me show him what I want done. Maybe he'll grasp it that way.
Yeah.
So I tried on the pant before, and I had too many rolls right below the waistband.
Yeah.
Took apart the waistband, and I have it all, on our film. Dropped the waistband, picked up the front, put it on. The rolls are gone. And I go, American, like, now what do you have to say?
Yeah.
And ever since then, I got the instant respect. I was 24, 25. Okay. So you're going up to a 70-year-old telling him how to do a pattern when his whole life he's been making it. Right. But that's where the drafting from school comes in, all of that played a role. And then once we launched our line, that's when our custom blew up.
Yeah.
I mean, it just took off. And we are the number one custom shirt maker in the whole country.
Wow.
Yes, we have awards. We have, a plaque from our manufacturer. There's over 480 accounts. We're the number one custom shirt maker in Northville. It's custom suits. We've always been the top 5 in the past 6-7 years, and we made number 1 and number 2 last year and this year, or last year and the year before.
That's great. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
I mean, well, that begs the question: what do you do for an encore? I mean, how do you continue to innovate? How do you continue to, I mean, I don't want to say stay current, because you're obviously current. You're ahead of people, but how do you continue to do that?
That's a good question. After COVID, I must admit I got a little soft, lost a little bit of the drive, because when you're looking around you, everything is shut down.
It's hard.
People are working from the house, right? There was no incentive to keep pushing. And the culture was different. It was too laid back, too relaxed. Nobody wanted to work. And when we first opened, ended up making over 200 garments in the first month.
Okay.
If you go on my Facebook, you'll see 7 racks full of garments. I didn't think I could sell one suit. Okay. And I was worried because I can, the team came back and Adriana stuck with us. So we had our core who during COVID really believed in the shop, knew we would survive. I had no doubt, but I did have a question mark as to how are we going to sell suits if everyone's from home.
Right.
So what happened was people cleaned up, their eating habits. They're not traveling as much. So a lot of clients lost weight. Some clients gained weight. Doing a lot more Zoom, right? So people wanted to feel good. They had money that they were saving.
Yeah.
They probably got rid of a car and they just wanted to get out to feel good. They're cooped up in the home or office. And, what we did there was, okay, how do we launch a line for the environment that we're in? So what we ended up working on was a deconstructed garment with no shoulder pads, no liner inside the garment, very lightweight, breathable, that you can wear with shorts, like a nice pair of khaki shorts, loafers, wear jeans, and not feel like you're dressed up.
Right.
Because their whole life they've been dressed up wearing expensive garments, and now they feel awkward dressing up because of the culture. So I had to reprogram their mind like, hey, this is perfect. You're not too standoffish. Doesn't look like you're showing off, and you still have a jacket on. And, we took off from there. So as a business owner, you got to continue to dig deep and reevaluate the times that we're in, whether it's good times, bad times, slow times, and you got to be able to pivot.
Well, it also sounds a little bit, because of that volume, like people missed you.
Yeah, it was great, man. It was when we came in, it was hopping. It was so busy. It was good. I miss them more
Yeah.
than anything. It's funny. All the money in the world, they say you're a stranger in your own community. Because like your self worth when you come to the shop and you're taking care of people's issues or problems, is so amazing that we take for granted. And when you're away from all of that, it's almost like what's the meaning of having millions and you can't enjoy it with anyone, or you don't have a personal life, or you can't do much with it. It's just money, right? So I think the reflection was good for me because it cleared my mind and got me re-energized and focused on the shop.
Yeah. Well, with that kind of volume, you probably had no choice.
It's true. I was stressed out.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy.
A good stress, though, given the maybe not so positive stress of the prior year, being shut
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, those kinds of relationships, you clearly developed those over your decades in business at that point. So it's nice to have that played back to you, that it's important to them too.
It was good. And then what we did was I started Alexander's Cars and Coffee. Um, I thought it would be great to get some of our clients together because a lot of people, move to town who are working, let's just say for Ford Motor Company and don't know many people but have nice exotic vehicles. So I wanted to set up a morning cars and coffee with cigars, high end vehicles, so our clients can kind of get to know each other. Like I wanted more of a family community. And it took off. We had 178 vehicles show up. Porsche, Ferrari, Porsche sponsored an event. Ford Motor Company sponsored an event. Like, it's amazing. It was excellent. And it kind of got the traffic back into the shop unintentional.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how big Northville is or how big the part of Main Street that you're on, and I love that you're on Main Street, on Main
Yeah.
Street Matters. But where do you put 178 vehicles?
So we started in the back lot. Our
Okay.
back lot carries about 100 vehicles. And there was a traffic jam downtown. So the mayor's like, I have a parking lot 1 block down next to the library, Northville Library, and it's the public schools lot that they don't really use. And they're not there on Saturday, and that holds about 250 vehicles. So it was perfect because it was still downtown. It was local, so we got the right crowd, and we had Jack Roush show up with Roush Racing. We had a lot of really great people come to the event, and because it was in downtown Northville and local, you saw a lot of relationships build. And they're like Alexander's Cars and Coffee, Alexander's Custom Garments. I wanted to relate the high end exotics with our high end suits.
Well, and who did you get to do the coffee for you?
We used the local Sweet Brew and Spice. We wanted to keep it local. Downtown, it's a great Italian family. So into the Italian beans. That they get from Italy. Great family. So we had them serve all the clients.
Amazing. Amazing. And so
Yeah.
is that an annual thing? Do you
Yes.
do that? Oh, cool.
We start May until October. Every second Saturday of the month. So it's one time a month from 8 to 10 o'clock.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's regular. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's good. Yeah. And then on our Instagram, it's Alexander's Cars and Coffee.
Cool. We'll make sure we put that in the notes too.
Yeah.
That's great. You're such a visionary already. I'm sure you have an answer to this, but if not, no worries. I don't mean to put you on the spot. But if you think about the changes that are going to be happening in the next few years, 5 years out, I don't know when you see like the next big change for your business. What do you see, and are you preparing for it now?
Yes. That goes back to scaling and working on the membership packages.
Okay.
The reason why, one is you got to bring value to the client.
Yeah.
So just to give you an idea, our packages start at 30,000, 50, 100, 250.
Okay.
We have clients where they literally spend 50 to 100,000 almost every quarter.
Okay.
The problem is I don't want to wait for them to spend the money. It's almost like I want to guarantee that we have the money. And as an incentive, they get my personal cell. It's almost like a white glove concierge, right? They're able to text me anytime if there's any event. They could shoot me a message. Hey, could I wear this with that? Some people have staff already that handle their wardrobe for them, but it's more of a personal relationship instead of just calling the shop. The other thing is we want to incentivize these guys where either way you're spending the money in that year, calendar year. What comes with it is coaching. So, for example, there's a company that came to us by human resources, said the COO is flying out to Japan and we need help with attire and etiquette. So I'm like, perfect, and I would do research. Obviously, they don't wear a lot of tan or khaki colored garments in Japan. It's mostly charcoal or black. And here we're navy, we're blues, right? So a lot of sport coat, country club look in a way. So we sat down and, we did our homework. I have some Japanese clients to see the etiquette, shaking hands, not shaking hands, right? Hand on the chest or bowing. So what we started doing is we started Alexander's Wardrobe and Image Consulting Agency. So this agency here is now, we become your personal coach. We'll go out to your closet. Again, it's remaking your wardrobe to fit a specific need. Language barriers, etiquette on the dinner table with different cultures, the whole 9 yards. So his assistant would reach out to us, says, hey, he's going to a Middle Eastern place, let's just say Saudi Arabia for business. Now, a lot of them use their fingers to eat. It's a tradition with the rice and the lamb. So silverware is really, not great over in that culture, right? So you have to let these guys know and to practice at home. So that's what we would do. We do that, and then some of that is a write off because it's consulting. You're a personal coach, and now they're like, well, hey, I need a write off, and it works for both parties. And then on top of that, what we would do is, you know, for every dollar spent, we would give you a dollar for garments. Okay, it's like the credit card, American Express. You sign up, we're going to give you points. So, we reached out to our tax log, guy and said, hey, this is what we want to work on. We want to make sure it's kosher for him. Nobody's going to get in trouble. This is how we're presenting it. This is exactly what we're doing. And we came up with a detailed explanation and sheet on how many hours we coach, how many times we meet per week or month, where that money's going towards, and it's been good. So people have been buying the packages.
That's great. Well, so do you have, not to name names or specific stories, but have you gotten some feedback from that kind of thing that you can share? Like, what's been the impact of that on someone?
Yeah, in addition, sorry to that was again for it to be beneficial for the client. What we wanted to do was say, all right, if the client dresses up 5 or 6 days a week, his casual attire is lacking, meaning his jeans, his polos, his khakis. So depending on the client, we would throw in complimentary X amount of dollars that go towards a casual look, which really is almost like a good 10 or 15% of the amount you spend. Either way, they're paid for and sitting in our showroom. So in order to grow our showroom, because we have to spend a certain amount every month with some lines, we said this would be perfect because it's paying for itself. The client is benefiting, and we're able to get more product in and continue that cycle. So it's been excellent. And then the client doesn't have to come in and give me his credit card all the time. He
Right,
just walks in, pick out his fabric, or we'll send them pictures, we'll send them videos, go ahead and run it, and he already has a credit balance at the shop.
I mean, that's a high service level. You're rounding out their entire wardrobe. It's not
Correct.
just the custom suit or the custom clothing. It's the entire package. So,
True.
yeah.
So I've got a good story. We had a very wealthy man from Scotland who lives in New York, and he had a surgery on his stomach. And what happened was his one side of the stomach blew up, the other side didn't.
Wow. Okay.
He's been everywhere, and I'm trying to find this photo because I'd like to show you it. He's been everywhere. Nobody could help him out. He's made clothes. He went to Savile Row. He had clothes made in New York. So I get a call on the phone explaining his situation from his assistant.
Yeah.
And I said, send me some pictures. He sent me photos. I said, yeah, I can do it. So he flew in. And when he walked in, he goes, are you Alexander? I'm like, yes. He grabs my wrist hard. And he goes, don't waste my time. He goes, because you're not the first one who said you can do it.
Okay.
Others have said that, got me happy, and were never able to make a dress pant for me. So I go to him, I can do it, and I'm going to do it. And if you see what we did for him, like I teared up because most people in this business think it's only suits for models that we're working on. We have an impact on people's life, the whole 9 yards. This isn't just about beautiful suits, it's about their personality, it's about their confident level, it's about their self-worth, their dignity, their pride, and it's so much more than just clothes. I'm trying to find you one. Here, we had this lady come in.
Okay.
And her grandfather passed away.
Okay.
So what we ended up doing was, I know there's too much glare.
There's a glare, but I can see it a little bit. Yeah.
We ripped apart the sleeve, the collar,
Is
the
that her?
coat.
Wait, is that her grandfather's coat?
That's her grandfather's coat. He passed away,
Okay.
and this is all he used to wear.
Okay.
Completely recut the garment and put it on, and she had the best smile ever. So this is just one of many, many, many examples that I can talk about.
Amazing thing to do. Oh my gosh, I'm tearing up again. You're making me cry this whole time.
I have to show you. I have to show you this one. It's so incredible. But yeah, that's pretty much what we've done. Oh, here it is. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So his belt is literally on his stomach.
Yeah.
Okay, it's extremely hard for him to get any garment.
Yeah.
Look what we did for him.
Oh, wow. Wow.
On the actual table,
Wow.
one leg was going this way, the other leg was coming straight down.
Yeah.
So on the table, it looked like, holy, this is weird.
Right.
He puts it on, and even his pleats laid perfect.
Wow.
So those are
What so what was his reaction to that?
I'll tell you. So he was in the fitting room. He opens the door, and he sees my smile, and I go, "You gotta take a look at the mirror. This is incredible." He goes, "I don't want to look in the mirror," and I'm like, "Why? This is like perfect." He's like, "I could tell by your smile that you're happy with it. That's all I want." I swear, he did not look in the mirror.
What? Wow. Wow.
He wouldn't. He refused. So it could be like he's just so unhappy with
Yeah.
what happened to him
Yeah.
in surgery, but he knew it was gone,
Yeah.
and you couldn't even tell he had a flaw.
Amazing.
And as soon as that happened, we ended up making him a whole wardrobe.
That's incredible.
Oh yeah, it was. Those are some really incredible moments, better than all the money in the world when you see that. And again, there's so many intimate stories like this that many people never hear of.
Yeah.
And it's not just about selling the most expensive suit or having models wear our garments. It's really impacting people's life.
Just backtracking a little bit during COVID, when you didn't have all that interaction, I can understand why you lose the passion for it because
Yeah,
you're not with your people, you're not with your customers.
true,
You get
true.
back with your customers and you're like, what was I thinking? Of course I'm passionate about
Oh
that.
yeah. I'm like, I'm never retiring.
Yeah.
I would always talk about early retire. I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. So I know we've taken up so much of your time, but I have one more really important question. And you kind of answered it, but maybe you can just put it in a nutshell. Why does Main Street matter?
Because it's the only main street in town.
Oh, that's so funny.
I don't know if I got the question right.
Well, I'm bawling over here.
You're so kind, man. You got such a pure heart.
Great stories. Love them. Love them so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much for having me on.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it.
God bless you, man.
You too. Thanks.